In this video, we'll show you how to replace your air suspension, compressor, and dryer on this Mercury Grand Marquis between the year ranges of 2003 and 2011. The compressor will be located under the hood along the driver's side just underneath the washer fluid tank. Let's get into it. Okay friends, let's get started on our job. The first thing you want to do is make sure you're on a nice flat level surface. Once you've done that, make your way into the trunk and flip off the air ride suspension switch. The next thing that you'll want to do is make your way just in front of the rear wheels. You're looking for the metal frame. Safely raise and support the rear of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground and the suspension is not under pressure. Now let's make our way underneath the hood. Along the driver's side is where you're going to find your air filter housing box. On the outer aspect, you'll find that you have two mounting clips for this. We'll just go ahead and dislodge those. Grab onto the upper clamshell here, give it a little wiggle to separate it. Once you've done that, we're going to make our way right over here to the mass airflow sensor connector. You'll find that you have a red locking tab. We'll use a small screwdriver to gently pry this away. Press on the little squeeze tab and separate this. Every time you disconnect an electrical connector, take a peek. If you see any funny colors, it's probably corrosion and that would need to be dealt with. We'll set this aside. Now let's follow that upper air filter housing to the air inlet tube. You'll find that you have an 8mm headed clamp here. We'll loosen this just enough that you can slide this out of the way. Quick inspection, set it aside. Continue on to removing and inspecting your air filter. If it needs to be replaced, now's a good time. We'll set this aside as well. Let's continue on to removing the lower part of our air filter housing. For this, you'll find that you have three 11mm headed nuts that hold this in place. Remove all three. This one's broken on our application. Let's grab this box, start lifting it up and out of here. And there's our air ride suspension compressor. Now let's make our way towards the front area here. We're going to have to pry this push pin out of here. I'm going to use a trim tool for this. You can set this aside. Move along to your electrical connector. On this, you're going to find that you have two tabs, one on either side of the electrical connector. What you want to do is carefully get underneath each of the tabs, gently pry them up, and start to separate it. There's one here, and there should be one on this side. Looks like ours is already broken. Quick check for corrosion. Set those aside. Now let's make our way over to this hose connection. We'll use a small pocket screwdriver to carefully get in between this area to gently separate it without damaging the hose. Now let's carefully slide underneath the front of the vehicle. From underneath the driver's side front of the vehicle, we're going to be looking at the bottom of the wheel well, right where that compressor is located. Under this area, you'll find that you have three 8mm headed nuts that hold the compressor down to the wheel well. Remove all three. Let's get this last one and then we can slide out from under here. Let's make our way back up under the hood and start lifting this up and out of here. As we lift it up and out, you want to make sure that you don't damage the washer fluid reservoir. There we are. Now the next thing we can do is start removing our air outlet hose from the air compressor. For this, you're looking for this orange tab right here. Try to squeeze this in towards the compressor dryer. While you're squeezing it in, pull the hose out of there. There we are. We'll just give that a quick inspection, make sure it doesn't look like it's damaged in any way, and set that aside. There it is, friends. Okay, friends, let's get ready for our installation. Let's start with our air hose. We'll take this and slide it into place, pressing it in as far as you can. Once you feel as though you have it in there, give it a little tug to make sure it's completely secured. You don't want this loose, otherwise you'll have an air leak and your air suspension won't function properly. Now we can take this and slide it into place. Line up all 3 of your studs with their corresponding holes. We'll set this down and then we'll continue on. Continue on to the electrical connector. Press that in, give it a tug to make sure that's secured, and slide this down and into this position. Resecure the rest of your air hose coming across the fender well. Now we can put this in place as well. You'll notice along the bottom you have this area that protrudes out, and on the body of the vehicle you have a slot for it. We'll press that in down there and then align that push tab, press that into place. Make your way under the vehicle and install all 3 of your 8mm headed bolts. We'll start each of these on, snug them up, and then torque them to 44 inch-pounds. Now we can start putting in our lower air filter box. You remember that we had those 3 holes, and you should have 3 studs that protrude up. Make sure you line up all 3 of those holes, put the studs right on through. There we are. We'll install each of our mounting nuts. Snug those up. Our 3rd one is broken. Install the air filter, and now the upper air filter box. You'll find that you have all these openings, and along the bottom of the box, you'll find that you have the tabs protruding out. Line them all up and slide this into place. We are. Put on both of your locking clips. Reinstall your air inlet tube. Tighten your 8mm headed clamp. You want to make sure this is nice and tight so no dirty or unmetered air makes its way into the engine. Continue on to your mass airflow sensor wiring. We'll press this in, listen for a click, and then lock it in by pressing in this red locking tab. Continue on by lowering the vehicle back down to the ground. Now we can make our way back into the trunk, turn on the air suspension switch. All right, the next thing you want to do is put the key in the on position and wait for the air ride suspension compressor to turn on. Okay friends, we've got the car back together, and as you can tell, it functions properly. Go ahead and take it for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.